It is that fundamental belief, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, that makes this country work. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Some people are divided by religion, yeah. Oh, yeah. Some people are divided by their greed, yeah. Some people are divided by deception, yeah. Oh, yeah. Some have a lot of money but still in need, yeah. The time has come to help your hurting brother. Time has come to think about your sister. Can't turn a blind eye to their need, yeah. Share some love to help your hurting brother. Share some love to help your fallen sister. One God, one faith, one destiny, yeah. It's time for unity, yeah. Deception is tumbling down, live in unity, yeah, yeah. Division must be broken down, unite in dignity, yeah. United under God we stand. Unity is power for all. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Well, everything around us is changing, yeah. Nothing will ever be the same, yeah. Limitless scope for transformation, yeah. Yet no one has the answer for the pain, yeah. Selfishness and greed have many blinded. Heartlessness has many people suffering. Why can't we see our brothers' pain, yeah? Children are hungry and they are crying. Mothers are hurting and they are sighing. Yet all we care about is gain, yeah. It's time for unity, yeah. Deception is tumbling down, live in unity, yeah, yeah. Division must be broken down, unite in dignity, yeah. United under God we stand. Unity is power for all. Time for unity, yeah.
Things are falling apart much faster than you can imagine. If you do not take immediate steps now to save yourself, it will get very serious very quickly. We must come together now to save ourselves economically, socially and spiritually. You must find a strong support system while you can, because things are falling apart fast. Be smart. Let us come together to survive the perilous days ahead. This is not about who you are, or what you have. When the day is over, you will be left to face the harsh reality alone. The days of segregation are over. Don't wait until trouble set in and you find yourself up against the wall. Get registered with Lifeline today to secure support before you need it. Lifeline is not only the support giant of the BVI. Lifeline is the family you need to help you through the difficult days ahead. Don't be foolish. Nothing will get better. Save yourself now before things turn for the worst. Become a registered member of the Lifeline family now and we will help you through the challenging days ahead. You can depend on us. Find us at 4 Mill Mall or call us at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Raw Truth. And of course, when we say The Raw Truth, this is where you'll find it to all our friends across the Caribbean region and the rest of the world. We thank you so much for joining us, and please share the live, share the live, share the live. We have a big fish to fry tonight. A big fish to fry. This is not a joke, and we've been looking around us across the region and other parts of the world, and I realize, friends, that it is very unfortunate that we have to come to this point where if we don't grab some people by the neck and drag them into courthouse or drag them before the let me behave myself tonight. But it's very unfortunate that we have to be fighting for our rights in a way that I'm wondering if it will ever end. Our people are fighting like hell to protect our rights. You look at the whole vaccination matter, people fighting like hell to save themselves from this operating system. It's a fight. Everywhere you go, it's this fight. What is going on here? And it seems to me that the best fighter wins. And some of us are not going to lay down arms. It seems to me it's looking very interesting this time around, because our people are absolutely becoming very adamant at this point in our history to stand up for what they believe in. I find this absolutely very interesting to watch. I was having a chat with someone in Jamaica. It was just the other day, and they were saying that the Prime Minister in Jamaica is set to inject every citizen in Jamaica. And the bad boys with them gun lining up around the corner, everything on cock. They say, hell no, we don't want it. You're looking St. Kitts, everybody on cock, we don't want it. You come to the BVI, oh Lord, don't even talk about the BVI. This is like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Everywhere in the world you go, I'm not sure what's going on in Guyana. We have one of the best analysts in the house tonight, and he's our special guest. He will be helping us to understand exactly what in hell is happening in Guyana. But I find it absolutely very interesting that we have come to this point where everybody have to be muscling up and skinning up them face, and boy, it's like it's like it's like, boy, if you come close to me, is war, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's very unfortunate we have to come to that. And decent people, decent people now have to take a very strong position as well, because we have a lot of decent people among us who are very hardworking, very caring, very, very prudent people who now have to be muscling up them face like everybody else and say, hell no, we're not going to put up with this crap. When have we come to this? And some of us, because of our status quo, we feel we can abuse hell out of people and you are accountable to no one. When have we come to this? And it is everywhere. It is in Guyana, it is in Jamaica, it is in the BVI, it is in St. Kitts, it's in the USA, Canada, Britain, every place in the world you go, across Europe. Why have we come to this place where we feel we must exploit our brothers and sisters if we are to rake in billions, if we are to capture the lands and own them, if we are to take away the money from our people? Why is it that we have to become a bunch of crooks at this point in our history? This is my question. And when the day is over, who will it benefit? Who will benefit from all this crookery that we're seeing around here? All this exploitation of our brothers and sisters? Why can't we come together and support each other as we grow and develop and build together? Please, as you come on, my beloved friends, share the live, share it on your page, share it. Don't stop sharing, because we will be having a very interesting discussion with Mr. Rickford Burke tonight. He's our special guest, and we have a very interesting matter that we want to share with you. Very hot matter, hot stuff. And Guyana is going from bad to worse, and dog food in Guyana now. This is what it has gone to. And blackface people, I can't figure this out. Blackface people who have a little curly hair on the head believe they are better than the other black brother whose hair is straight. Who is better? The one with the straight hair or the one with curly hair? Who is blacker than who? I am not understanding when Guyana has become such a racist cesspool. All with black people. Black people blacker than my butt. Fill up the whole region, yet some of us feel some people are blacker than them. When have we come to this? I don't get it. Let me behave myself. I'm going to take a short break and come right back. And when we come back, I'm going to introduce to you the man himself. Don't touch that dial.
Things are falling apart much faster than you can imagine. If you do not take immediate steps now to save yourself, it will get very serious very quickly. We must come together now to save ourselves economically, socially and spiritually. You must find a strong support system while you can, because things are falling apart fast. Be smart. Let us come together to survive the perilous days ahead. This is not about who you are or what you have. When the day is over, you will be left to face the harsh reality alone. The days of segregation are over. Don't wait until trouble set in and you find yourself up against the wall. Get registered with Lifeline today to secure support before you need it. Lifeline is not only the support giant of the BVI. Lifeline is the family you need to help you through the difficult days ahead. Don't be foolish. Nothing will get better. Save yourself now before things turn for the worst. Become a registered member of the Lifeline family now, and we will help you through the challenging days ahead. You can depend on us. Find us at 4 Mill Mall or call us at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Okay, welcome back to The Raw Truth, and of course we thank you so much for joining us. It's a Monday evening, and the month of July is ticking away like a clock. I'm not sure what's happening. The 12th of July, and of course we keep moving into the 21st century, and this is amazing how fast time is flying as we find ourselves in all kinds of quagmire moving into the 21st century. You wonder if the worst is left to come or the best, which I don't know. It's not looking good. Share the live, please. Share the live. I'm seeing my friends coming on. Share the live. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm seeing quite a lot of my friends. Good night, good night, good night to you all. A million of my friends are here. Good night, good night, good night. I can't say good night to each of you. It would take me the whole night. It's so many of you coming on tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure the entire posse that is connected to this amazing gentleman is here as well. I need to ask him how he does it, because the entire posse is here. Let me bring him in. Honorable, how are you doing?
Good night, sir. Thanks for having me.
Let me tell you something, man. I've been watching your entire posse, the entire posse coming on tonight, and it is absolutely amazing.
The GT posse.
Yes. How have you been? It's a while. We always have had some great moments here talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. Great things, of course, but you've gotten as busy as I have become. And somehow we drifted apart for a little, but we had to grab you and pull you back into this. What's been happening in Guyana? Tell me about the COVID-19 thing as you probably introduce yourself and move into that. Talk with us.
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I've been doing well. I'm back out. I'm vaccinated, so I'm glad that I'm back out. I don't have to stay home. COVID-19. Well, as you know, I live in New York. The pandemic has subsided. We have very slow numbers. The last time I saw, we had 4 deaths. That's the last day plus track. We had 4 deaths. We had 24 persons hospitalized, as opposed to back in this same time last year when we had 8,000, 9,000 people dying per day. So New York has substantially managed to control the spread of COVID-19. And in New York, by and large, people are still wearing a mask, and so on, even though they're vaccinated. So we're taking precautions. In Guyana, COVID-19 is a disaster because, as you know, the government is backed by the business community. We have a racist government and an ethnocracy. The PPP regime is not a government, it's a regime. And they're backed by their racist business partners. They control 99.9% of the commerce in the country. And so what's been happening is that when they took over the government last year, August 2nd, they opened up the country. And so COVID-19 infection rates have gone through the roof, deaths have gone through the roof. We are the leading country in the Caribbean for COVID-19 infections and deaths, or at least deaths. And you know, this is primarily affecting our people. I noticed today that the Private Sector Commission, which is the financial arm of the ruling PPP party, complained today that the best friend of the Attorney General and some other members of the government who owns a hotel and casino called Sleep Inn, wrote a letter to the president saying why everybody else is being shut down and this entity is open all night, all long, causing more COVID infections, and nobody's doing anything about it because he's friends with the Attorney General and a couple of members of the government.
Wow.
So the COVID infection rates are going through the roof. Every day there are lots of deaths. Within the last 2 months, we might have close to 200 deaths from COVID-19. But they're not putting any restrictions in place because they want their Indian brothers and sisters in the business community that invested billions of dollars in their election to make back their money.
Tell me something, sir, because this seems to have to be the playbook across the Caribbean region and other parts of the world. From what you're seeing, you think these numbers are really adding up?
The COVID-19 numbers?
Yes, they tell you when I tell you it's 500 people. You think it is even close to that, sir?
I think it's. I don't think the numbers are accurate. I think the numbers are underreported. This is real. COVID-19 is real. I've lived through it. I live in New York, in Brooklyn, very close to 4 hospitals. So every street around here is an access to a hospital. And in the height of COVID-19 surge, the COVID-19 surge in New York, we were hearing about 200 ambulances per hour going to these hospitals. And at one time it was so scary, we thought we were in Baghdad or Afghanistan. And then what's more depressing is that, you know, possibly the person in that ambulance would not survive. You know, we lost over 40,000 people in New York from COVID-19. So these numbers are real. I think they're underreported because there are lots of people who died home, who didn't go to the hospital, probably didn't even know they had COVID. Then you had so many people who had COVID and did not get sick. Those who were asymptomatic. So I think the COVID numbers are way underreported. This is a pandemic that has devastated the world. And we must have a study of it to understand how it originated and how we can, in the future, capture these pandemics and start making vaccines early so they don't ravage the world like COVID-19. This is how many people across the world we've lost? Millions of people, right? It's devastating.
But let me ask you this, sir, because I'm having a serious problem. You know that the facts are coming out, and it's very interesting that we are looking at this point.
You look at the facts, and I think it's interesting to mention this as we move forward. And I'm asking you this question. Now that the facts are coming out, now that people are hearing and seeing the facts for themselves, do you think we understand this thing better, or are we living in a state of in simple terms, disbelief?
I think
What is your take on it?
I think it's both. We're still in shock that so many people died, especially in the United States, where we had a callous president who thought his image of being a strong man was more important, and his re-election, as a matter of fact, was more important than the health of the nation. So he failed to protect the population. He did not want to educate the population about COVID-19 because he knew it was going to affect his poor performance and poor management of the disease in this country would have affected his re-election, and it did. So he deliberately hid the severity of COVID-19 from the people. And then he had his stupid followers who were not thinking for themselves, following his lead when he's fooling them. Because he had COVID-19, he ran to the hospital, he had the best treatment, he got antibody treatment and all of that. His people didn't have any access to those sophisticated medication, and some of them died. Herman Cain, for one, who sat down at his rally, right, in one of the states, in one of the red states, Oklahoma City, and boasted that he was not wearing a mask, and then went and died from COVID. And then he was telling people that, oh, the vaccine is this and the vaccine is that, discouraging his supporters from getting the vaccine because he thought it was popular in conservative circles. And then he went and secretly got the vaccine, just like he secretly got the antibodies. And his followers are following him. So, and then across the Caribbean, you had, especially in Guyana, the same thing. Before this PPP government came to power, and the former AP and UAFC government, coalition government, was implementing serious measures to protect the population from COVID-19. These racist Indians were telling people that they're doing that to control protests, and they're doing that to stop the opposition from doing stuff. So they fed this nonsense about that COVID-19 was real and all that. And then across in Trinidad, you had the stupid opposition leader, Kamla Bissessar, saying COVID-19 will be killed by the sunlight. So they confused people, and people just took it for granted. And when it started hitting people, then they realized how dangerous this disease was. Yes, some people thought they were invincible, and the population itself, members of the population, should have taken more precautions to make sure that they...
Let me ask you this, sir. Let me ask you this, because this is the kind of discussion I like to have with practical thinkers. Since 2019, every year end, December, January, February, March, April, winter time, the flu kicks in. But since 2019 into December, the flu disappeared. I haven't heard anyone talk about it until this day. Where did it go? Tell me.
Well, I'm not sure if it went anywhere. I just think that it just went to the back burner. Because of how severe this COVID-19 was. And
But hold on, sir. But hold on, sir. I'm just asking you practical questions.
Sure.
Now, but hold on now. If the flu has always been here, and every time you cough, you go to the hospital. COVID. You sneeze, you go to the hospital. COVID. You buck your toe and you bend down and you knock your head against the wall, you go to the skull. COVID. Everything. Where has the flu gone? I'm just asking. Because now it seems everything now that has popped up
is COVID.
Are we giving COVID a damn bad name, Mr. Burke? Is this what is happening?
Probably. Well, you see, COVID that's why it's called the novel COVID-19 disease. COVID is a novel disease, and it has the symptoms resemble the flu. All of the symptoms plus other symptoms are the same symptoms that show up for COVID-19. Hold on, let me answer. In addition to loss of taste and so on,
Yes.
and well, even with the cold, once your sinuses are blocked up or swollen, it affects your ability to smell. And so, but what my whole thing is this: have we, as those public policy makers, governments, have we taken into stock how we should manage these diseases in the future? Vaccines, how vaccines should be made. Should we? I like what President Obama said. President Obama said he had set up an entire vaccine investigation unit, an advanced unit that would go all over the world, study these things, send back reports, send back samples and so on, and start to make provision for vaccinations before they get here. Trump disbanded that. And so we were behind the eight ball with regard to that. And then he was blaming China, when in fact, that thing came here so long, was infecting so many people on subways and buses and trains and malls, and that's why so many people died. And so I think that what COVID-19 has taught us as public policymakers, we must make provisions to catch these diseases in advance. And as a population, you and I and our grandmothers and so on, we have to take the precautions. If the scientists say wear a mask, wear a mask. Listen, I never got COVID, right? I was paranoid with it. I was sanitizing and washing everything, even to garlic. I never left my home. So,
Mr. Burke.
I think COVID taught us a lot. Go ahead.
Mr. Burke, me you are brethren, and I don't want to come on the ear tonight and go on bad. So I could leave it there so.
Yes.
Me you know better, not you.
I want to say one other thing about COVID-19. In Guyana, we now found out that the government bought vaccines from a mafia, a Russian mafia. So, the vaccine was never approved. It's called the Sputnik V vaccine. It was never approved by the WHO. They didn't go directly to the manufacturer of the vaccine. They went to Russian mafia. The guy was a Russian mafia in charge of an oil company that went bankrupt and decided to get involved in the vaccination distribution of vaccine. We don't even know if it's water they took and put in those vials, right? Instead of the vaccine manufacturer or the equivalent of the FDA of Russia issuing a certificate verifying the authenticity of this vaccine, the mafia himself wrote a letter when we started to question it and say, yes, this is the right vaccine. And the government issued that and said, yes, this is the right vaccine. So we don't know what they're giving the people of Guyana.
You don't know what they're giving the people across the Caribbean region. You don't know what the hell we're getting.
There were so many countries caught up in the process.
I listened to the president of the USA. He said, what do one name? The big A, he said. He said, all of what we have here, all of this, we're sending all of it out, all of it into the third world. What did they send down here? Let me come out of this.
We don't want it. We don't want it here.
Hold on.
That's it. We don't want no.
I ain't getting into that because I ain't gonna sound good tonight at all. I'm gonna take a break and come right back, folks. We come back in a minute.
Things are falling apart much faster than you can imagine. If you do not take immediate steps now to save yourself, it will get very serious very quickly. We must come together now to save ourselves economically, socially and spiritually. You must find a strong support system while you can because things are falling apart fast. Be smart. Let us come together to survive the perilous days ahead. This is not about who you are or what you have. When the day is over, you will be left to face the harsh reality alone. The days of segregation are over. Don't wait until trouble set in and you find yourself up against the wall. Get registered with Lifeline today to secure support before you need it. Lifeline is not only the support giant of the BVI. Lifeline is the family you need to help you through the difficult days ahead. Don't be foolish. Nothing will get better. Save yourself now before things turn for the worst. Become a registered member of the Lifeline family now and we will help you through the challenging days ahead. You can depend on us. Find us at 4 Mill Mall or call us at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Okay, welcome back. And for those of you who are just joining us, we welcome you to the Raw Truth. This is your Monday evening special right here on PSI Network, PSI TV. And if you're watching us from Facebook, it's PSI TV live broadcasts on YouTube. Actually, we thank you so much for joining us. And of course, please share this live. It will get quite interesting. This evening, we have with us a very interesting guest and a good friend of mine. Met him sometimes back, and he's a very busy man working around people development, nation building, and all the rest of it. And I think the fight is on for most all of us who are involved in people development. Once you love people, you're going to come across some of the madness that we find ourselves in. We want to bring to the fore some of the things that are happening in Guyana and how this has been escalating as it affects not only people in Guyana but across the Caribbean region and the rest of the world. Mr. Burke, you look at the political landscape in Guyana, and I think it becomes very interesting now to analyze what has been happening in Guyana over the past few years, even after the last election. Has anything improved in Guyana? What is happening down there at this point? Talk with us. Oil and money and everything down there. Everybody had probably should be spinning in oil now. What's going on?
Well, things have been improved very much for the Indians and the governing class. That's it. And what they're trying to do is take away everything black people have. As we know, the PPP government, which is the PPP is an Indian party. Even the current vice president, who's the former president, who's the head of the PPP, said the PPP is a Kuliman party. So we don't have to make any excuses for that. It's an Indian party. So they won through fraudulent votes in the last elections. And from the time they came to power, they moved to dismantle everything the former APNUFC coalition government did, which is what it was. It was a coalition of everybody, all the different races in the country. And this PPP party is basically a party that is an ethnocracy. They believe they're like Trump, and they're patterning themselves after Trump. They tie themselves to the hip with persons from the Trump administration, like Michael Kozak, the former Assistant Secretary of State, like Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, and the current U.S. ambassador, who's a Trump holdover, Sarah Ann Lynch, who has been complicit with their racism. And we're working to get her removed from Guyana. Now, what they have done is gone after black politicians, using the police and the criminal justice system to criminalize them, to apparently weaken them. They have charged all of the senior black officials of the Elections Commission with crimes. They have charged about 10 or so senior black police officers with manufactured crimes. They have charged some CEOs of government agencies with crimes. They have charged attorneys of law who were lawyers doing transactions on behalf of their clients with crimes. And that's what they have been doing. They fired over 2,000 black people from the public service. Listen, what we have in Guyana is a racist government that is implementing a policy of East Indian ethnic supremacy. And they think that they can make black people who fought and abolished slavery on their own second-class citizens. And that's what's happening in Guyana. And CARICOM is a spectator to it, and they're laughing. The CARICOM heads who helped put them there are so embarrassed now they're not doing anything about it. They just banned the Haitians from coming to Guyana, and now they're stopping Nigerians. And they're scared that these black people will come to Guyana and assimilate with the black people in Guyana, become residents and become citizens, and then become eligible to vote and vote them out because they only won by 15,000 votes, supposedly fraudulent votes.
Mr. Burke, Guyanese are black people. And when I say black people, melanated people, aren't they?
Black like me, yes, and you.
What is different?
The Indians and the government don't believe they're black. For them,
hold on, sir. Let me fix this.
Good.
Where on a East Indian is different from what I have here or what you have over there? What about them is different? Which part of them?
Well, I don't know the name, but they categorize themselves here as Asians, right? As East as Asians. So that's how it's in the census here, in all the demographic studies and demographic reports. They don't count themselves as black. They count themselves as Asians, East Asians.
You mean melanated people could be so psychologically duped to the point where they can't think straight?
No, I think it's inherent racism. It is a congenital philosophy and belief that black people are of a lesser class, and so they are superior beings. That's
who are black?
Misconception of themselves.
Who are these black people? Aren't they not a race of black melanated people, if I should call it that?
Well, they call us niggers and hungry belly dogs and Negroes and so on. So it's not even color, because they can be blacker. They can be blacker than me and you, and they're on social media calling us hungry belly niggers. So it's for them, black or a race issue has to do with our genealogical makeup. They think that they're not black, and it's being fed to them by the political leaders, and it's being handed them from generation to generation. And so what we see is a cycle of hatred from these people for black people. And every time they get into power, they want to use their governmental and political power to make sure they take away things, right? They take away land. The current Attorney General went to Berbice and told the Indians, go and take the lands of black people, break down the fence and take it away. And CARICOM is quiet. The ambassadors are quiet. But when the black government, the black head of state was in power, every minute they're jumping up and talking about democracy and adherence to the rule of law. Now they're quiet, because all of these ambassadors that go down to the Caribbean are white people, and we have to have a revolution. I'm starting to write all these Western governments and tell them we don't want white ambassadors in those places anymore, because they come down to Guyana and these other places in the Caribbean with their anti-black philosophy and belief, and they side with ethnic governments who also hate black people, and they team up against us. So we don't want a white ambassador from American Guyana anymore. We don't want a white British ambassador. We don't want no white Canadian ambassador. Find black people, people who understand our culture and sensitive to the racial issues of the country. Those are the type of people we want as ambassadors.
What purpose does CARICOM serve, sir?
None. CARICOM is absolutely useless. I
So
think it should be dissolved, and we should look for
why don't they scrap it? Why don't they scrap it?
grouping.
Why don't they scrap it?
CARICOM has not. What you name me one thing CARICOM has achieved, other than division and hoodwinking the people of the regions. Listen, the people are together. The people are together. The governments are not together. The governments are protectionist government. Look, the Guyana government announced that they're banning Haitians from coming to Guyana. The CARICOM government said nothing, absolutely nothing. How could you ban people from coming to the country? Then when we created a storm, they came back and said, okay, well, we banned them, but they have to have visas. That's completely against the Guyana Constitution. It's completely against the new revised Treaty of Chaguaramas that says there should be free movement. And if you're going to have a CARICOM single market and economy, it therefore means you have to have people from other regions going to other territories in the Caribbean for jobs and for other economic opportunities. So how can you single out and discriminate against the Haitians? And CARICOM is silent. As a matter of fact, the Prime Minister of Antigua defended that. So, and then you had the government of Guyana, this Indian government of Guyana, going to the United Nations and voting against a resolution to end racism around the world. They voted with Trump and Pompeo against that resolution, and all of CARICOM voted for it, but CARICOM was silent. Nobody condemned them for voting against the elimination of racism around the world. CARICOM is useless.
Well, let me ask you this, sir. And as of now, if CARICOM was to be dismantled, who would be responsible for doing that? Who set up CARICOM?
The member states. If we don't want to dismantle it, we have to have a revolution in CARICOM. Maybe the people of these CARICOM nations ought to have a revolution. And maybe we need, listen, the world is forming itself into bigger groups. Maybe we need a wider geopolitical grouping. The ACS, Association of Caribbean States, was a good concept. It included CARICOM plus some other Latin American countries like Colombia and Brazil and so on. That's dead. It's supposedly headquartered in Trinidad, but it does nothing. Look, let's take the Caribbean Code of Justice, for example. CARICOM has 14 member states. The revised Treaty of Chaguaramas says that the Caribbean Code of Justice should have 2 jurisdictions, right? Original jurisdiction and its appellate jurisdiction. Only 4 countries of the 14 in CARICOM, we're 15 now in CARICOM, recognize the court in the appellate jurisdiction. They only recognize the Caribbean Code of Justice for its original jurisdiction, which is to settle disputes that arise from the implementation of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. So only 4 countries. Now, the Caribbean Court of Justice is based in Trinidad and Tobago, and Trinidad still goes to the Privy Council, the white people, to resolve their judicial issues and to adjudicate their different issues. So where are we going as a country? As a region? CARICOM is dead.
You actually leave me speechless, because I'm wondering. My problem with politics in the region, sir, and as we get to the point, listeners, viewers, where we discuss this $500 million lawsuit that is sitting here, but you choose people to run a country from among our melanated people. When they were on the ground with everybody else, they had a little common sense, or so it seemed. The minute you take them off the ground and put them in the seat and call them prime minister or premier or whatever in hell you call them, the whole of them turn idiot. The whole of them lose their mind. Mr. Burke, what is wrong with our melanated leaders when you take them off the ground and put them in a position of leadership? Why is it that their head turn water when they hit the seat? Can you explain it, sir? Because people are confused. Tell me.
Why are you blaming the leaders? I think it's the people. We have to hold our leaders accountable. And if we have leaders in there that we're not holding accountable, they're going to do what they want. We have to have leaders who are held accountable. If you go in there and you have a manifesto and we voted for you based on that manifesto and you're not doing right by the people, they should impeach you and throw you out. And that's what's not happening in the Caribbean. We have leaders who are corrupt, leaders who are taking people for granted, leaders who are making all sorts of deals with other nations and other people and gangsters and gangs, and we're not holding them accountable. So I think until we become a people that stand for a political accountability, we start sending a couple of these prime ministers and ministers to jail and ensure that we stamp out public corruption. We get rid of lazy politicians. We get rid of politicians who are not representing the interests of the people. And we deal with politicians who see themselves as servant leaders of the people. Then we're not getting anywhere. So we can't complain for leaders that we have there and that we're not holding their feet to the fire and not demanding accountability from them. That's the problem. We're not holding our leaders accountable.
It's very sad, sir. I've been watching what is happening in Jamaica. The little BVI, as you say, little BVI, little BVI would hold on the front step of Guyana because it is so small. Little BVI is like the backyard in Jamaica. In my backyard in Jamaica, it's such a small place. Great place, great people. But if I am wondering if it is psychological. I'm actually wondering if it isn't witchcraft, if you ask me. Because you look at how people have come to a place, Mr. Burke, where everybody is now so afraid to talk about what is happening in government. People are afraid to act. People are afraid to hold them accountable. People are afraid to make any move at all because Why if I move on, that man I got to put the man go take on my food and I'm going everybody afraid for them job, and if you're in government, why can't do nothing, because why, I might lose my work and all them things. So everybody is now trading their decency for $1. Huh? Is this what we have come to?
Well, what we have seen around the world, and especially in the Caribbean, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I know the Prime Minister of Jamaica, but I don't like some of the things that he's doing. And then in Guyana, what we have is creeping autocracy. In Guyana, it's a full-out dictatorship. We have autocratic governments rising up throughout the world, and to some extent, it is because they see it work with Trump. And people in government see that the more you control your population, the better politician you become, or the more that you could fight the press and win, the more dominance you can exercise over the society. So what we have is a rise of autocracy. And again, people are not fighting back. They're intimidating people, right? You have got, especially in Guyana, you have, and in St. Vincent, I notice people now protesting in St. Vincent, a senator who allegedly witnessed one of her supporters shoot a man because he spoke something on social media. You have a prison officer in St. Vincent, in St. Vincent, who spoke out against the Prime Minister and was removed and charged. And then you have in Guyana, where you have people are constantly arrested. They're using cybercrime laws, which I was never for in the first place when it was enacted, to curb free speech, even from members of the legislature. You had a member of parliament in Guyana, Miss Anna Ferguson, who was just arrested by the police because she condemned the government formation of a secret police. The government went to parliament and voted itself $280 million to form a secret police. No one knows under what law this secret police is functioning. What we know is that the government is scared of the black people in the police force, and every time they come into government, they form their squads. And what they do is go into the communities and monitor people who are anti-black and kill them. And they killed over 1,400 black people, black young men, in their former government. CARICOM said nothing. The only people who are fighting for justice are the black people in the country and some organizations. Every CARICOM leader was quiet. CARICOM are frightened. They're scared of these ruthless, corrupt Indians who run in the government in Guyana. And, and so to button this up, what we see is them using the power of the state to intimidate citizens. So I could understand why my poor cousin, right, who is just a regular public servant in Guyana, who's scared to speak up. Because when they speak up, there's no union that has the guts to stand up and fight these racist Indians. There's no proper judicial system that will stand up and fight these racist Indians. So people are scared, people are intimidated. There's no safety net for people in the country. And that's why I and my organization, CJD, have been speaking up for the rights of black people, number one, speaking up for the rights of people who are vulnerable, number two, and speaking up for the rights of people who are not political supporters of the government. Even some Indians are being pressured, are being attacked in Guyana because they don't support these races. And we have the protection of the United States. So that's why we're speaking up. And I'm under attack right now because I'm speaking up. My life has been threatened by the Attorney General of the country. But my message to him was, when you carry out your plan to threaten my life or to kill me, what do you think will happen to you and your family? And that's my message.
I was about to say this to you, sir, that what our governments are not realizing, and I think it's foolhardy, I hope it is known. I'm really trying to wrap my mind around it because I'm not sure how we could take the chances we take, Mr. Burke, when our people are actually woke at this point. Our people are woke, People, stupid anymore. People are very alert and awake, you know. We still have some fool people everywhere, but the masses are not sleeping anymore. People are very alert. To think that governments might think that they can do what they want and get away at this point in the 21st century, in my mind, is telling me that some of us are absolutely foolish people. Because on the ground, Mr. Burke, and I'm telling you what is happening in Jamaica, what is happening in the BVI, what is happening in Barbados, what is happening in St. Vincent, what is happening all over the world, on the ground, there are people who are resolute about the fact that their rights and their lives are at stake. And if they don't do anything about it, they are going to be consumed by these idiots called politicians. And I put idiots in quotes because not all of them are foolish. You have some good politicians. Some, maybe 2 out of 10 in every bunch.
Well, I certainly agree with you. And especially in Guyana, and I want to point people's attention and focus to Guyana, because the rest of the Caribbean region is not aware of what is happening in Guyana. They're not aware that you have a racist government, an apartheid government that the Trump administration put in there, that Ralph Gonsalves and Mia Mottley in Barbados helped to put there. And these are racist people who hate black people, who want to make black people second-class citizens. And I am telling you now that if they remain in power and if they continue to govern with an apartheid system, we will have a serious uprising in Guyana. People are not going to take it. And what they're doing is systematically attacking all the black leaders. And the problem is, because when they held the first one, they got away with it. The very next day after they were sworn into power, they sent their thugs to the home of the former Minister of Youth, Simona Brooms, to threaten her life. And when she chased them down with her bodyguard, the police turned around and arrested her. Right? And
You're not serious.
Yes, they arrested her. And she was living in a government house. And during the period of the term of her government, APNU, there was a big dispute over the amount of rent they were paying. And she had her son buy a house. And she moved to that house. This PP government, these racists, did not know that. They wrote her and asked her to move out of the house. And then she's a gold and diamond miner. So she got her own money. She's a millionaire. And she had a nice big land 4x4 that they thought was, oh, now there's this black woman have this big fancy vehicle. It must be the government. They wrote her and tell her they want the vehicle too. And it's a woman's personal property. That's how racist they are. But the rest of the Caribbean don't know. These Caribbean, other CARICOM heads have their heads in the sand, and they're not paying attention to Guyana, but they will pay attention to Guyana when there's a riot.
If you just join us, you're listening to The Raw Truth. And
by the way, Kenny, after the show, when we talk about what we see happening because of the political conditions, they say we are inciting it. So by the end of this show, you hear somebody from the government saying, Rickford Burke went on a Caribbean radio station and was inciting violence. Well, they could go to hell because they can't stop my speech and they can't stop me from saying what I want. I'm not inciting, I'm analyzing and predicting.
But let me ask you this, sir. And we know the Constitution is a piece of junk because when the day is done, it seems to give you rights in one hand. But by the time they outline the clauses that is going to dumb them down, you end up with nothing over here. That is what the Constitution does to our people. And we accept this piece of crap that has been handed down to us by these colonizers all these years, not understanding that we have no rights at all because we're still slaves on the plantations until this day.
The most important thing with the Constitution is that you have to have a judiciary and a law enforcement agency willing to implement the law, and a judiciary willing to make sure that the laws are obeyed. And
but what are laws? What are laws, Mr. Burke? What are laws? What are laws? Are we talking about the hold on, sir? Are we talking about the color of law, or are we speaking of the law of liberty? Because that is not in the Constitution.
Well, the courts are there to, in the absence of any specific law requiring certain liberties and certain rights, the courts are there to make sure that they write them into the law in their rulings. What we're finding in Guyana and other parts, other jurisdictions, is that the courts are politically tied to the governments. So they are not ruling like when Trump was in power. These Republicans, they're ruling based on their political philosophy and not what the law says and how the law is prescribed.
It is everywhere, sir. It is every blessed where under the sun. I am wondering what is going to become of our people, because politics has become the it all and by all among all peoples across the world. As long as your hand is strong enough and you're a big face politician and your voice is big enough and when you roll, everybody can listen.
Well, in the United States, the Constitution, the law that you're expressing skepticism about, says that the people can form a militia to protect themselves from a tyrannical government. So if you can do it in the United States, then you could do it anywhere in the world. I'm not saying to go and pick up arms against the government. I'm saying that in the United States, you can form a militia and the people can protect themselves from tyranny. In Guyana, we have a tyranny as a government. And it's time that people start to protect themselves from that tyrannical government, however they see fit.
Let me put it mildly, sir. Maybe I need to do that. We have what are called sovereign nations across the world. And these sovereign nations, the Maroons, the Caribs, and other nations across the world, however they're structured, reserve the right to live their lives unmolested by government or anybody else as sovereign peoples. They set up their own borders, they live their lives, and as long as it is declared properly, government cannot mess with them, has no right to interfere with them. Now, you speak of the militia. I'm putting it nicely because I think it might sound a little harsh. When you say the militia, you think about guns and bombs and militia people gone bad. Let us think sovereign. Nice word, right? Because now we take back the rights that we were robbed centuries ago. You're talking about the Washatamo people, the Maroon people, the Carib people, and all the rest of peoples across the world, who until this day reserve their sovereign rights and no one can mess with it. You mess with them, you absolutely would be putting yourself in a very treasonous position, because they could literally strip your clothes off and burn you at the stake. They reserve the right to do it because they are not to be molested with. Now, if this is the right we all have as a human, as earthlings, this side of the globe, how is it that our people are not aware of the capacity of their rights in a way that they can protect themselves, and in a way that when they're abused by governments who have been abusing their people, the people still sit down looking around like they're wondering where the hell they are and wondering what to do and how to do it and wondering, they're helpless technically because they have no resolve. What has created that state of mind? Try to explain it to me.
Well, I'm not sure I can explain it. What I know is that the people you refer to have exclusive rights because they are deemed to be indigenous to their particular populations or wherever they are. The rest of us have the constitutional rights that are enshrined in the Constitution, but we don't have those rights because we're not indigenous to those geographic locations that we occupy. And so the people that the supposed discoverers, like Christopher Columbus and the people who discovered Guyana and St. Vincent and Trinidad and so on, they came and met people there. And so because of that, they have treaties with those people and give them exclusive rights. Those of us who then came there, like the African slaves and the indentured laborers, East Indians and so on, we have to respect those rights. Those rights are exclusive. They're exclusive to those people. We don't enjoy,
Can I ask you something?
What they give us, which is inherent in the Constitution.
Can I ask you something, sir?
You're making an argument that tyrannical governments are taking away those rights. And again, I am saying, we, the people, put governments there. Governments cannot be more powerful than the people. When the people are docile and the people are asleep and the people are apathetic, that's when tyranny creeps in. And we as a people have been apathetic. We have allowed tyranny to creep into our democracy and it's taking it over. And it's time that we as a people stand up and take our governments back and hold politicians accountable. That's my formula to make governments more responsive to the needs and welfare of the people.
You know what is my take on it as I take you up to the hour? So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to look at this $1 million lawsuit that is coming up. But you know what is my take on that? And if I should put it very mildly, we have all been duped, you know. We've been duped so badly, and it's disgraceful. Yet we don't know. It's just so many things that we don't know, which makes it sad. But you look at the Americas. Let me categorize that. The Americas include all islands across the Caribbean region, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's one land, isn't it?
Yes.
So when did you have St. Vincent, Dominica, Barbados, BVI, Trinidad, all the rest of the garbage pile that we have today? When did we have that? Number one. Number two, the division strategist, has used this mode of division to conquer each and every last one of us wherever we are, and teach us that unless you're a citizen of that country and a citizen of this country, and now put some of the other for control, so you have the bigger boys looking better than the littler boys when they depend on the littler boys to survive. Everything you need in Africa, everything we need is in Africa. Everything comes from Africa. Most all things. Precious metals, all. Africa. Yet Africa is impoverished as hell. Are we not seeing how duped we are, sir? Now you're talking about, no, hold on. You're talking about indigenous rights of people. Where do we all belong? We are all belonging to the Americas. That's where we come from. So you cannot tell me that because I am not from here in the BVI, and you can't tell me over Guyana because I'm not from there, I don't belong there. Who fool you? Who fool us here to think that because I am not from here, are you from there, we don't belong? What kind of mad crap is this stupidness? Who taught us this?
Well, that's why you have concepts.
Hold on, sir. I want one person in them sober mind come to me with that garbage pile, and then we understand how the hell I deal with it. I'm going to take a short break. We come right back in a minute. Absurd madness.
Things are falling apart much faster than you can imagine. If you do not take immediate steps now to save yourself, it will get very serious very quickly. We must come together now to save ourselves economically, socially and spiritually. You must find a strong support system while you can, because things are falling apart fast. Be smart. Let us come together to survive the perilous days ahead. This is not about who you are or what you have. When the day is over, you will be left to face the harsh reality alone. The days of segregation are over. Don't wait until trouble set in and you find yourself up against the wall. Get registered with Lifeline today to secure support before you need it. Lifeline is not only the support giant of the BVI. Lifeline is the family you need to help you through the difficult days ahead. Don't be foolish. Nothing will get better. Save yourself now before things turn for the worst. Become a registered member of the Lifeline family now, and we will help you through the challenging days ahead. You can depend on us. Find us at 4 Mill Mall or call us at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Well, 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 well. What an evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And to all our friends who are joining us from all across the world, we welcome you to another episode of The Raw Truth. And of course, this is Kenny G, your host. And we are set for an amazing time this evening. We have a special guest with us, Mr. Rickford Burke. And of course, this is set to explode into an amazing discussion. So much is happening here, and I'm not sure we might even have time enough to even get into some of the hot topics here that we might need to bring to the fore as we examine in depth some of the crazy stupidness that I'm seeing across the region. And I'm specifically focusing on the Caribbean region because this is where we are. Yes? If other places in the world don't want to fix their business, I can't help them. I live in the Caribbean. And when the day is done, we reserve the right to fix our own business. But are we capable of fixing it? And this is my question. Yes? Are our politicians even capable of functioning decently in government these days? Because it seems we have no government. It's very obvious. Everywhere across the world you look, there is no government. The Caribbean region is no less. There is no government. So where do we go? Will the people now look about themselves and position themselves to manage their own affairs? What do we do next? These are some of the very practical questions we need to ask. Yes? Now, let me bring in back Mr. Burke, because when the day is done, we have a matter, sir, and I find it to be a very interesting matter, where there is pending a $500 million lawsuit in the courts against a man who has defamed you, and I put this in quotes, allegedly defamed you. I'm just speaking in context, as it might appear. Now I'm going to play this clip for my listeners, and I want you, my listeners, to be the judge. I want you to be the judge of this. Listen to this, share the live. If you're on Facebook, like the page, share the live. If you're listening from YouTube, click the subscribe button and share, because this is going to get really interesting. I'm going to play a clip right now of a situation which happened in Guyana. And Mr. Burke is taking no nonsense for this madness. Take a listen to this clip.
Brings me to this lunatic who is in America by the name of Rickford Burke. I never spent time speaking about this man because to me he's not worth my time. But now I see he has been attacking me all the time, calling me racist, calling me murderer, that I have murdered Krabby Wing. This man, Rickford Burke, let me tell you a little about him. I never bothered with him because he's one of those fringe element people, you know. They're mad. They have a loose screw in their head. They are extremists. People don't take them seriously. But apparently he's writing the US government about me. So I have to deal with him now. Rickford Burke used to be a personal assistant to Desmond Hoyt. He was dismissed from that position and chased out of the PNC because of dishonesty. There are a number of businessmen now who are still looking for Rickford Burke. He took money from them. He robbed them. He defrauded them. The Guyana police force is still looking for Rickford Burke. This man is a thief. And I want him to sue me. And I want him to come to Guyana. He filed a writ against the Chronicle when we were in government because the Chronicle published that he is a pedophile, that he raped some small child or sexually molested some small child, and he's on that register in the United States as a pedophile. He couldn't come to Guyana to prosecute his case because the police want him. And this lunatic is trying to malign me. I am coming to New York. I will go to Brooklyn. Let him come to Guyana. let him come to Guyana. He can't come because there are so many businessmen and women looking for him. And the Guyana police force looking for him for fraud. I believe they accuse him at Congress Place of dishonesty as well. And that is why Mr. Desmond Hoy kicked him out. And he ran away to America. He ran away to the United States because of what he did.
Boy, when story come to bump, it come to bump, my son. This is not a joke at all. Mr. Burke.
Yeah.
What a story.
Well,
What
let me say
a
this.
story. Huh?
Let me say this. Absolutely
Tell us what
nothing.
is happening. Look here. You don't have to say a thing. Now I understand what you've been saying all along. It's very clear in my mind. I actually saw the gentleman fidgeting and trying to feel around for words. It's disgraceful. You know when people are trying to make up a story. I saw it happen. I saw it happen. Before my eyes. I do a little psychology so I could tell you some stuff. And that is not nice when people are trying to listen. The Bible says, he that is without sin cast the first stone. If a man is going to call you a thief, he need to look at himself first. Right, sir?
Exactly.
If a man is going to call you whatever else, he need to look at himself first, right? No, I'm saying, when a man goes to that length to tear down another man, to make him look bad, because you feel you have leverage over the man, it speaks very highly of the caliber of your thinking. Now I want you, sir, to outline to our people what in hell is going on in Guyana with these Indian people and black people. Go ahead, talk.
First of all, I wanted to deal with that is Anil Nandalal, the supposed Attorney General of Guyana. First of all, have you ever seen any decent person behave like that? I'm not even sure if he was in his right mind in that clip. I don't know anybody in their right mind that would do that. So maybe he was under the influence of something. I don't know if it's drugs or alcohol or what. That's the first observation. The second thing, not one thing he says there is true. You see, they don't have any respect for black people. They think all black people are criminals. They're like Trump and the KKK. He black? Oh, pull him over. He must be a criminal, right? So he thinks that he can smear me by going to the lowest, nastiest accusations that don't even make sense. Listen, I left Guyana at the age of 17. My father was a senior police officer. I lived in the police compound all of my life, in police housing. At the age of 17, right, I started to go to university and I started to work as a special assistant to the president of the country. You tell me, which businessman is going to deal with a 17-year-old boy who just left high school, whose father is a senior police officer, who is a special assistant to the president? What time or ability I have to borrow money from business people? That's the first thing. The second thing is, he said in an interview later, I have a warrant. I want him to produce this warrant. I've challenged him to produce these business people he's talking about. I've challenged him to produce this register. He called me a pedophile. Listen, the man is projecting. Every single thing he's talking about there, maybe he was sitting in front of a mirror. I don't know. I can't say. But maybe he was sitting in front of a mirror. But to go to the length to say I'm a registered sex offender because he thinks that's the most craziest, nastiest thing he could say about me. Let me tell you about that. And this is now facts. Anil Nandalal, at the time he was installed as Attorney General on August 2nd, was a criminal. He was facing criminal charges before the criminal courts in Guyana for theft of government assets when he served as Attorney General before this last government. He was arrested for stealing all of the law volumes of the Ministry of Legal Affairs. The police had to go to his home and recover them. Number one, he challenged the court, the validity of the charges. He went to the High Court. The courts threw him out and ordered him to face trial because they found sufficient evidence for the charge. He appealed it. The Ghana Court of Appeal threw out his appeal and ordered him to face trial because the court said there was enough evidence. So, who's the thief? I tell you, the man was looking in front of a mirror. But you see, they want to call black people thieves because that's how they see white people tearing down black people.
Yes,
Secondly,
yes.
Anil Nandalal was investigated by the police
Very
in Ghana for the murder of a black rights activist called Courtney Cumming. You heard him say it there. He said, I accuse him of murder. Not me. The police investigated him. People saw his vehicle and his bodyguard. And him, allegedly, in the vicinity of the murder. He then admitted that he was a few towns away. He's from Georgetown or wherever he lives. What is he doing so far out on the day a man that he threatened to kill, according to the family? The man's family said he threatened the man was doing a one-man protest at his office against corruption and extrajudicial killings of young black people. Anil Nandalal, based on Mr. Courtney Cumming's family, threatened to kill him. Then he ended up dead, 5 bullets to his head. And his vehicle and bodyguard is allegedly in the vicinity, and he is a few towns away. The police investigated him. The police never cleared him. The investigation was active until they were installed, and then I heard the files disappear. So all I said to the State Department is that the U.S. government must consider whether or not he should be sanctioned. Third, Anil Nandalal is on tape, and I'll send the tape to you, threatening to kill journalists. He said it. We're going to do what is send the gunmen to Kaitro newspaper to shoot out the journalists that published a story that he didn't like. That's domestic terrorism. So he's a domestic terrorist, allegedly. He was investigated by the police for this murder. And he was before the courts facing criminal charges for theft on the day he was sworn in. And then the East Indian DPP from his political party, in an act of public corruption, withdraw the charges before he could face trial because he would have been convicted, right? And so I wrote the State Department and I outlined in my letter to the Secretary of State what is going on in Guyana. They're charging all the black people. They're using all the funds for their own ethnic support base, their own ethnic collective. And I said, he's the Attorney General. He's the one leading this fight against the black people in the country, against GCOM officials, against these police officers. And he is accused and was investigated of murder. He's on tape, allegedly committed an act of domestic terrorism. And the United States ambassador has embraced him. And I questioned that in my letter to the State Department, and that's his response. Now, let me tell you what has happened after that. He said he was coming to Brooklyn, right? Last week, he had a public meeting with his extremist supporters in Queens, an all East Indian group that also threatened to kill me. He had a meeting there. We took a protest there. My organization and Black Lives Matter took a protest there. The man hid. He was supposed to come at 7 o'clock. He refused to come. They asked the police to remove us, the protesters. The police said no. We had bullhorns. They asked the police to take away our bullhorns. NYPD said no. You know what he did? He never left his housing, his lodging, until they hired Brinks Security. Brinks is a security company that transports monies from bank to bank. So he showed up with about 10 or 12 Brinks security guard with big guns and bulletproof vests. What are you scared of if you said you're coming to New York to deal with me, right? The sight was like the president of the United States going to visit Afghanistan. They brought him through some side door, they dashed him upstairs, and when he was leaving, they dashed him, had him lying down in the car, all this nonsense. We were out there saying, come and talk to me. You said you want to come and talk to me. You said I'm a pedophile, and I'm saying, come and talk to me. Now, he was upset because of that protest that really made him look bad. And so on Monday, which was the 5th of July, we had the 4th of July holiday this Sunday. On Monday, I received a call from a police officer who asked me if I was at home. I said, no, I was not at home, but I'm on my way home. He said, okay, the police would like to talk to you. By then, I got another call from another law enforcement officer who told me he just witnessed Anil Nandalal and 4 people engaged in a conspiracy to have me killed. He said it specifically. Nandala said, that boy, Rickford Burke, is a problem. If the NYPD can't take care of him, and he named somebody who will take care of me. He said it in clear terms that I should be stopped, I have to be eliminated, I got to be killed, allegedly. A law enforcement officer witnessed that conversation and reported it to the police. And the police came to me and commenced an investigation. And pursuant to that investigation, they listed him as wanted. He left the country the day before he was listed as wanted and went home and bragged that he was at the airport in the VIP lounge and why the police didn't come and get him. Well, I want him to come back to New York right now and go to any precinct in New York and find out if he's wanted. I'm pretty sure that they would happily escort him to the right police station like they do all other arrestees. So I want him to come back to New York right now, seeing that he has so much balls. Come back to New York right now and face the police for questioning. With regard to the lawsuit, obviously, he said he wants me to sue him. So I've instructed my attorneys, Mr. Roysdale Ford and Mr. Nigel Hughes in Guyana, to sue him for $500 million. And the pre-action protocol letters, which is a part of the legal process, has started. So I'm pretty sure he would receive those documents. And once he received them, my attorneys will proceed in accordance with the legal process as outlined in the laws of Guyana. But all in all, these guys think that they're bullies. They think that because they're in government, they could disrespect black people, call us pedophiles and dogs and sex offenders and niggers and thieves. Have you ever seen, listen, when this new political party here was installed in Guyana, Mr. Anon Nandala's party, when they were installed in Guyana, Anon Nandala was before the court with criminal charges for theft. The president, Irfan Ali, was facing criminal charges for fraud, $290 million fraud. The Minister of Finance was before the court facing a $400 million fraud. The former Minister of Public Service was before the court for a $600 million fraud. Plus, she allegedly took 4 government vehicles. They had to go and take it back from her. A member of their political party, who was the accountant for the Guyana Rights Development Board, is currently serving a 5-year prison sentence for a $488 million fraud. And they're calling black people thieves.
My brother, you know, I'm lost for words. I'm sorry. I'm really lost for words.
But you see, the thing of Kevin is the disrespect they have for black people. You see, in Guyana, they control commerce, they control the businesses, and so what they've been able to do is like what happened in the United States, block the banks from giving black people money for businesses, to buy their homes and so on. So they're the rich ones in the country. They control commerce, they control trade, they control the private sector.
Yeah. It's a monopoly.
They could call the black people in the public service, the police officers and the soldiers and the teachers and so on, hungry belly dogs and niggers. And it's because the people accept it. I want to go to Jamaica and call the people niggers there.
Well, I tell you what, sir. My grandmother always say, "Doppy know who for frightened."
Exactly. Well, you know what? I don't know. The lad is messing with the wrong Negro.
It's very sad.
He's messing with the wrong Negro. I will destroy his life if he wants to come after me and want to war with me like that. I will destroy his life.
Let me tell you this, sir. I find it absolutely.
Destroy his life in terms of violence, in terms of politics. So I know you could take that clip and go and say, "Well, Rickford Burke tried to kill me."
I totally understand what you're saying, and
I will make sure I end his political career if he wants to stand to me, and if he wants to come after me like that, I will go after him with equal and more venom and velocity.
My listeners, you're listening to The Raw Truth. I'm Kennedy G, your host, and of course, we have in the house tonight Mr. Rickford Burke, the president of the Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy.
And can I make one observation? Sorry. He says
Yes.
Desmond Hoyt was the former president chased me out of Congress Place. The guy doesn't even know me. Desmond Hoyt is my personal hero. I started to work for him when I was 17. He lost power as president. I came to the United States. He wrote my recommendation to come to college here. I'm going to post
There
it.
you
You
go.
have to go and look for it. I still have it.
There
He
you
said
go.
I'm a man of complete integrity.
There you
And
go.
he's the former president. And he came for my wedding in New York. So I think that for Anil Nandalal to call his name in such a vile, disgraceful manner is soiling the honorable name and legacy of the Honorable Desmond Hoyt. He is not worthy of even repeating this man's name. He's a regular crab dog. So
Well,
I don't know
sir,
why he's calling Desmond Hoyt's name in his mouth.
you don't have to say much, and I tell you why. I tell you why you don't have to say much. A credible man will always be a credible man. A man of high standing will always be a man of high standing, regardless of which idiot tried to tear you down and say all kinds of garbage about you. It doesn't matter. And when the day is done, as long as you understand where you stand and you know yourself well, you reserve the right to do exactly what you're doing. It is absolutely um, highly unprofessional, and if you ask me, criminal to slander another human being in a way to destroy another person's reputation. It's a
Actually, it is
criminal
criminal.
act.
It is criminal.
It is.
That's a crime.
It is a criminal
It's
act.
criminal. Yes.
And regardless of how one might think or feel, none of us reserve the right to do such things to another human being. It's disgraceful. So if this is the basis of your actions, sir, then lawfully, and I put that in quotes, you reserve the right to char fire and spit it out and charcoal and do whatever the hell you want. It's your right. Yes.
Exactly.
And as a brother who I've known over these years, you were introduced to me by Miss Luzette King, a very credible person, I'm sure. And we have had no problems with you over the time I've known you, and that remains what it is. So this to me absolutely is quite questionable, and it is quite interesting to see how this will turn out. I do hope that the courts or the court will be a credible place to ascertain justice. I put that in quotes. Yes,
Certainly.
because
We'll take it all the way. He thinks
yes,
he's a
yes,
big
yeah,
bad man. He thinks he's a gangster.
yes.
And he's hiding from a couple of hundred people protesting him. He went
see?
to get bodyguards.
You see, so I'm watching the comments on the live, and I'm not sure why. Some people will have a problem with you. Some will have a problem with him. You expect that to happen.
But I'm sure some of his supporters are there.
Yes, man. Yeah, man. We're all human beings, and all this garbage happens all the time. Them call me all kind of something too. You think them free to call Kenny all kind of something? But I want one of them come prove the garbage. Just come. One of you come prove the crap. One of you come prove it. My mouth big. So
But you know what is sad? Is that these people
madness.
can project their racism on social media and threaten to kill people. I've seen on social media where their supporters said, even on the president's Facebook page, on the president of Guyana's Facebook page, one of his supporters said that they must cut off my head and bring it to him on a platter and he'll pay them millions. Even though I wrote the police commissioner and wrote the president, that comment was never removed. So that's the kind of violence that party encourages. And I saw somebody said to an attorney in Guyana, black attorney James Bond, that he should be commuing, meaning just like how they shot this guy that, by the way, Alan Nandala's bodyguard was arrested for that murder.
Yes.
They're saying James Bond, who's from the party I support, should be commuing, meaning he should be killed. He should commuing. He should be killed. And not one person in that political party condemns him. Nobody condemned what he said. They're laughing. Oh yeah, Nandala cussed out Burke. They're laughing, right? But you let me or some black person go on TV and say that, repeat all those lies and slander one of them, they'll send the police to arrest them. Because under the Cyber Crimes Act in Guyana, what he did there is a crime. And he should be arrested. And I want to see what the police is going to do about it. But the police in Guyana is only there to enforce the law against black people and persons who do not support this current PDP government, like Amerindians and mixed race people. East Indians, no. You know what they did? Their supporters killed 2 young boys just after the elections, Joel and Isaiah Henry. They know who killed them. They refused to arrest them because the person is a financier of that political party. You know what they did? Because the family came on my show and has been appealing to the U.S. government for help. They went and arrested all of the young teenagers and young men in that family and charged them with murder of another person.
Wow.
Right? And now they have hired Stanley Moore, and I'm going to speak out against it and write Mr. Moore to prosecute this young man, the only young man that has been left, charged with the murder of this guy, Harish Singh, who was killed the day after these 2 young men were killed in East India. And I believe he deserves justice as well.
I remember the incident, yes. I remember it.
Yes. So they went and by the way, they framed some Indian guys, got them and got somebody and tell them to confess to these other boys being involved in the murder. The person who confessed didn't even know any details about the murder, but he confessed to the murder and he named 2 other people. The courts just threw them out and said, the government presented absolutely no evidence that these men were involved in the crime. So that's what they're doing in Guyana. And all of this is happening when this man is the Attorney General. Now, you imagine if he could sit down and make up these things about people and come on TV and repeat them. Could you imagine what he's doing in his office against people he hates and dislikes? And he just filed about 20-something lawsuits against some people, most of whom are black, to take away lands and properties from them that the previous government gave them. The courts just threw them out. And it was on that same basis that he filed a criminal charge against the CEO of NISIL, which is a government agency that managed government properties. I had the man arrested for no reason. Now the courts has thrown all of these things out. These people should not be allowed to function in society. They should be
you see, my problem is this, Mr. Burke, and I think the time has come when our people need to get up off their backsides on which they sit and begin to demand what is just and right for themselves, wherever in the world we are. There are wicked people functioning in this world, and until we get to the place where we demand accountability from these idiots, it won't change. I don't care where they are. We have to come to this place as a people to demand what is just and right from all of them.
Yes.
Wherever your rights are being abused, we must get up off whatever we sit on and demand justice from these people. I'm going to take a break, Mr. Burke, and when I come back, we will put the cap on it as we take it up to the hour. Back in a minute.
Things are falling apart much faster than you can imagine. If you do not take immediate steps now to save yourself, it will get very serious very quickly. We must come together now to save ourselves economically, socially and spiritually. You must find a strong support system while you can, because things are falling apart fast. Be smart. Let us come together to survive the perilous days ahead. This is not about who you are or what you have. When the day is over, you will be left to face the harsh reality alone. The days of segregation are over. Don't wait until trouble set in and you find yourself up against the wall. Get registered with Lifeline today to secure support before you need it. Lifeline is not only the support giant of the BVI. Lifeline is the family you need to help you through the difficult days ahead. Don't be foolish. Nothing will get better. Save yourself now before things turn for the worst. Become a registered member of the Lifeline family now and we will help you through the challenging days ahead. You can depend on us. Find us at 4 Mill Mall or call us at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Welcome back to The Raw Truth. And of course, I'm Kenny G, your host. And for all friends who are listening across the world, wherever you're listening from, welcome, welcome, welcome to the program. We are here every Monday evening at 8. And of course, we continue to bring to you the happenings across the Caribbean region and other parts of the world. This is your favorite Monday evening program. So make sure that you go to, if you're watching us from YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the page. If you're watching us from Facebook, if you are on PSI Network, please like the page. If you're watching us from PSI TV, like that page as well. And share it with your friends, of course, so we can remain, you can keep connected or remain connected to these amazing programs as we continue to bring you our different guests from all parts of the world. This week we're featuring Mr. Rickford Burke, an amazing gentleman, one who has a heart for people, one who has gone through hell for people, one who has bear the brunt of madness for people. And he's still here fighting to protect himself from those who seek to exploit him simply because he tries to serve people. An absolute disgrace. And people like these, we need lots more of these kind of people across the world. For those of us who have a love for people, continue to serve. Continue to serve. Because once you're talking about serving people, you have a lot of idiots out there who don't have no brain. Them brain sick. Their brain ain't functioning. And the more good you do, the more they cost. You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You can never please melanated people. I don't care where in the world you are. Not even white people you can please. Much less melanated people. I need to behave myself. Let me behave. It's a darn disgrace. The same people you try to help, the same ones dig a pit to bury you. You're trying to feed them and they're trying to bury you. Are we sick in the head? I'm not understanding it. Something about this is just not right. Mr. Burke, as we wrap up, time does fly when you're having fun. Let me say good evening to all the Washatamu, all the people of the Washatamu nation, the Washatamu or the Washita sovereign nation across the world. Let me say a very special good evening to you. All the Moorish peoples across the world who are listening, good evening to you. All our Maroon brothers and sisters across the world, let me say a very special good evening to you. And for those of us who are wondering, what in hell am I talking about? Well, if you're connected to Washita people or Moorish people, then you probably need to do a little research as to how sovereignty works. Because these are sovereign peoples. You don't mess with them. You put yourself in trouble. You find yourself staring down the barrel of a gun if you're not careful. They don't play. They're very serious people. I think that is where we need to go, Mr. Burke, if we're going to protect ourselves from these barbarians. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly.
I'm the king. I'm well protected.
I need to behave myself because it has gotten from bad to worse. We have to find a way to protect ourselves. Government don't care anymore, and nobody seems to care. We have to find a way to protect ourselves.
I'm
Mr. Burke,
big man up there. My God.
Listen, sir. Let me offer my support to you in this moment of. I understand how stressful it can be when people seek to defame you. When people
I'm not the least bothered by it, but thanks for the support. I'm not the least bothered by it.
I'm sure.
Can't defame me. He can't defame our black leaders. My question is, what he's going to do when he leaves office? I'm really sorry. He stood up when he had the backing of all the U.S. ambassador in the Trump administration and said, when they get into power, people will have to run and leave Guyana, black people. My question to him is, when he leaves power, what will he do? That's my question. What will become of him? Is he going to go and live in Mars? All right? Because what they're doing, trampling on the rights of people and trying to take away property from black people and try to run the country as if they're gods and try to implement Indian supremacy in the country, what will happen when they leave office and they're powerless? I'm really sorry for him. So I think right now he is stressed. I saw a report, Kenny, that a man parked his vehicle and jumped over the Demerara Bridge. And
Wow.
I started to check to see if he was reported missing.
Wow. Wow.
I wanted to know if the Attorney General was missing because I'm really sorry for him. Seriously,
Wow.
I'm sorry for him as a person. He must be very tormented, very tortured man.
When we have done evil to our brothers and sisters, it's very it comes back, you know. We don't understand that when you do evil to your brothers and sisters, at some point in life it comes back. I'm not sure when we're going to understand the seriousness of karma. Karma
But
is a bitch, you know. Is
you
a
know, one of the things I would say to you, not one of the media houses in Ghana reported anything he said. And they've been sending all these things to the media. The only place you go and find them is their fringe groups on social media. But nobody took what he said seriously, and nobody reported it except their little online fringe groups.
yes.
Yeah. So it shows how seriously the country takes it.
Yes. Yes. Well, sir, listen, somebody has to stand up for the rights of our people. Somebody have to stand up for what is just and right. Somebody will have to do it. And regardless of what is said or done, I know you're not even daunted by it. I'm sure you'll continue to fight. You are the president of a very credible community.
For democracy. What Anil Nandalal has done is given me added inspiration, given me energy that I didn't have. I kept saying I wanted vacation. I haven't gone on vacation in 3 years. Anil Nandalal gives me energy, right? I feel like I am ready to fight these people. I'm ready to fight for my people. And I want to encourage everybody. We have a big march and rally coming up on August 15th in New York, in Brooklyn. It's going to start at 12 o'clock on August 15th at the famous intersection of Church and Flatbush Avenue. And we're going to go to Grand Army Plaza where we'll have a big rally. And we expect that rally to be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And that rally will be addressed by myself. We have some of the young politicians coming from Guyana. And then we have some of the elected officials here. Some of our Haitian American elected officials will also speak. And then on the 17th of August, we have a diaspora conference. The government had a diaspora conference, but that was just for East Indian people, all right? We will have a real diaspora conference where we'll talk about how we in the diaspora, the Guyanese diaspora in the United States, can work with our people in Guyana to ensure that there's equitable development, to make sure that the economic opportunities that are available as a result of this nascent oil and gas industry would redound to the benefit of all Guyanese. All Guyanese, not only Indian people and PPP supporters, all Guyanese. We want to make sure that there's justice and fairness for all Guyanese, not only for East Indians and people who support the party, all Guyanese. And that's why I am fighting and will continue to fight. That's why I will be relentless, undaunted in my work to make sure we develop our country, that there's fairness and equity, and everybody, and justice, and everybody in the country, all Guyanese, can benefit from the national patrimony and all of the resources and wealth of the country, not only for PPP supporters, everybody. That's why I will continue to fight.
Well, sir, I'm sure you have people out there who are very much in favor of what you're doing. I'm seeing it on the live where you have some very, very serious supporters who are behind you. They understand what you're about. It seems they're very committed to seeing you prosper and grow and help them to win this war, actually, because it is a war.
It is.
And I'm not sure if the people understand their capacity as a nation to fight this war. I'm not sure if people understand that they are more than them if they're going to win. Haiti is a good example of fighting to win. The Maroons in Jamaica, Nani, a good example of fighting to win, and I could go on and on. Our people have always been resolute to fight and win. I don't think this has gone any place because we're still the same people or descendants thereof. So, I think the time has come for us to understand who we are and position ourselves to take back what has been taken from us. I might sound a little strange talking like this because this is not the narrative as we speak. I'm not sure where we're going with it. It seems that we're heading down a slippery slope, and no one seems to be able to stop themselves from sliding. I'm not sure, but as a people, we deserve to be treated as such, and no one reserves the right to take away from us what we deserve as a nation. No one, whether you're white, black, pink, blue, yellow, I don't care where you come from, what's your creed or your nationality. Yes, we are one people and should be treated as such. All of us. Yes? So this is where we are. Black, white, pink, green, blue, whoever we are, we need to understand that this is our right to be protected as a nation. It is our right to be treated with dignity and respect. It is our right to be shown what is just and equitable among all people, and given such, if we're going to prosper and grow and develop and become. It's our right. And I'm sure Mr. Burke is absolutely deserving of such, regardless of what anyone thinks, feels, or says. It's our right. As we wrap up, sir, what would you want to leave on the minds of our viewers as we take you down to the wire?
Well, my message to the people of the Caribbean is that things are not right in Guyana. Guyana is on the precipice of a civil war. We have a government that is determined to take away the rights of black people. We have a government that is determined to make sure that they govern the country as if it's India, and that the resources of Guyana are only for Indian people. And I want to make it clear. They're very fine, decent, law-abiding, loving, wonderful East Indian people in Guyana who don't subscribe to the evil of the PPP regime. I am not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people in the PPP and their racist support base who do not think that black people have a right to Guyana. That's the underpinning. That's the philosophy of their governance. They believe in apartheid, and that's how they govern the country. I want the people of the Caribbean to know that they should not tolerate racism in Guyana. They should not tolerate a government supported by CARICOM who do not believe in the rights, equal rights for black people. I want to call on CARICOM heads to make sure they go to Guyana and ensure that there's peace and justice and security, because Guyana is teetering on the brink of a civil war. We don't want that. What we want is equity. What we want is justice. What we want is fairness. And what we want is that the resources of Guyana are equally divided amongst all of its people. And right now, that's not happening. And even if the people have to fight, even if they have to fight to get it, they must do that. Because we are not going to allow a dictatorship that is an ethnocracy to flourish in the Americas, and particularly in Guyana, my country.
Wow. What can I say? At one point I was thinking that perhaps Guyana was coming back to a place of normalcy after the last government left and this one took over. But I was rather surprised to realize that it got worse instead.
Listen, even in the COVID relief, you have people suffering right now. There are floods all across Guyana, unprecedented historic floods. And the government is only going to the East Indian people and give them relief. If they're, and Guyana, we don't live together, right? We don't, I'm not sure if you can hear me. We live in...
Yes, yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes. Guyana, you have black villages, Indian villages, black tongues, Indian tongues. We don't live together. And so invariably, you might find like a black person living in a front street in an Indian tongue and so on. This government has refused to even give those people relief for COVID. To the extent that Congressman Ham Johnson had to issue a statement cautioning the government that the resources of Guyana belong to all of the people of Guyana.
Yes.
A United States congressman from Georgia had to do that. But CARICOM leaders are quiet. CARICOM leaders are quiet. And the American Congress members are speaking up. Congressman Albino Series from New Jersey had to issue a similar statement. I met with my congressman today, Hakeem Jeffries, who expressed serious concern about complaints he's getting from his constituents about racism in Guyana, and I know he will take action. So I am still befuddled that CARICOM, that is headquartered in Guyana, still continues to be silent. I am amazed and shocked that CARICOM heads like Mia Motley and Ralph Gonzalez are quiet when you have a government of Guyana implementing and practicing apartheid, and they're quiet. They're going to wait until the country explodes and then to come and say, oh no, we want peace, everybody, we want to negotiate peace. At that time, they should chase them out of the country. Look what is happening in Haiti. CARICOM is discriminating against Haiti. In Haiti, those people are impoverished. It's a CARICOM nation. Instead of they get together and trying to help the country, they're running around banning Haitians, black people, from coming to other countries in the Caribbean.
CARICOM needs to be dismantled, sir. And I'm not sure why we're allowed to function for so long. It's a bunch of idiots running it. And when the day is done, they're serving no purpose. I'm sorry to say it so.
I agree, no purpose.
It's a bunch of idiots.
They sat in Guyana and allowed these Indian guys to systematically murder over 1,400 black people. A CARICOM diplomat was kidnapped by the death squad. And they said nothing. American diplomat kidnapped. CARICOM said nothing. They're scared that Barjag, they will curse them out. Those are the kind of leaders we have. Cowards.
An absolute shame. And when the day is over, sir, again I say, well, people need to find themselves and organize themselves and stand up to protect their own and do what is just and right for themselves.
And the people.
Time enough.
The black people in the Caribbean, and also East Indians and other races, but particularly the black people in the Caribbean. I'm calling on them to stand up with the black people in Guyana. This is not no joke. This is a war. These extremist Indians in the PUP are waging a war on black people in Guyana, and CARICOM is silent.
Well, sir, what I
So
will say to you,
on everybody in the Caribbean region,
yes,
all the black people in the Caribbean region, to stand in solidarity with the black people in Guyana. It's a must. We cannot allow blacks in Guyana to stand alone. Look, during slavery, when there was a revolt that abolished slavery in one country, it was like a domino effect in all of the other countries. That's what we need in Guyana. That's what we need coming from our Caribbean neighbors. Stand up. The leaders must condemn what is happening in Guyana. Condemn, stand up for human rights of the black people in Guyana and other persons who don't support this government. Like I said, it's not only black people, but particularly and mainly and specifically black people.
Yes.
Speak out against the fact that they're not giving relief to certain people, only their own East Indian collective. Speak out against the inhumane treatment of GCOM workers. You had the same guy, Anil Nandalal, had GCOM females, a big executive MBA woman, black woman, arrested and thrown in jail for no reason. Refused to give her medication till she passed out and had to be taken to the hospital. That's what they're doing to black professional women in Guyana. And CARICOM is silent. Mia Motley is silent because she helped to put these racists there.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear this, sir. And I'm hoping our parties across the region are listening. I'm really hoping we're taking note of this madness. And sure, maybe this matter might need to be placed on the table of the International Tribunal, because I'm sure over time that the only way perhaps that this might be addressed, if CARICOM is useless and no one else cares, then the International Tribunal perhaps is the only place that might be able to.
You're correct. And as a matter of fact, there's a pending case before the Inter-American Human Rights Commission where Barjag, the former president and the current vice president, is named as a defendant in the murder, this disappearance and murder of a young man by the name of Curly.
Yes. Yes.
That case is pending right now.
Wow. My brother, it is with a lot of respect that we share with you this evening, and yeah, as a lion, continue to roar, continue to hold your ground, continue to stand for what you believe. Because I don't think running away at this point will help you or help anyone at this point. I think it is.
Running away? I don't know what's that. I'm a descendant of indomitable slaves. We don't run away. We challenge. We charge. We go forward.
Yes, sir. So this is where we are, and I'm sure totally that when the day is over, we will definitely be connecting here again on other matters as we continue to examine what is happening in Guyana. Thank you so much for making the time, and it is an absolute honor having you here. Anytime at all you choose to appear, just let us know. We'll be very happy to make clearance for you, so we can continue to share.
Thank you for the offer, and thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed.
And have a good night. Thank you. And good night to everybody listening and watching.
Of course. Thank you so much. That was Mr. Burke, the Honorable. I call him Rickford Burke. Amazing gentleman. Someone who I respect a lot. Someone who has balls. Someone who is not going to stand up for garbage, but he's gonna defend what he believes. And regardless of what anyone says or does, I think Mr. Burke is not going to play games with anyone. He's an absolute role model for the people of the Guyanese nation, and of course for those of us who wish to take a page out of his book. We thank him so much for appearing here. For all of you who are listening, for those of us who are still on the live, please share this live. Share it on your social media page, that your friends can hear the story of a man who has had enough abuse, and he's now in a position to take very serious action to protect his reputation from people who wish to rip him to shreds. Absolutely commendable. $500 million lawsuit. Good gosh, and maybe I need to come to Guyana when he gets down there. Yeah, maybe I need to come down there. Yeah. All the best to you all. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for being a part of this amazing presentation. Every Monday evening right here on PSI Network, PSI TV, PSI Live broadcast on YouTube. Feel free to join us, and of course share this. Go to the page. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. Please like our Facebook page, that whenever we send out our notification, you will also be notified for our programs as we continue to share with you. The blessing of the Almighty, or the upliftment of the Almighty, be upon you all. May wisdom dwell upon you. May peace dwell upon you. And may wisdom explode in your mind, that you may move into the right direction, find the right path, and walk into your destiny to fulfill your purpose in this life. May wealth and prosperity find you. May you grow and excel and expand and explode into all goodness and grace and wonderful avenues of life. May your life change from where you are to a better place, that others will be touched and uplifted by virtue of your upliftment. Peace, guidance, light, and balance to all of you. Until we meet next Monday evening, take care of yourselves. Catch you next week.
Things are falling apart much faster than you can imagine. If you do not take immediate steps now to save yourself, it will get very serious very quickly. We must come together now to save ourselves economically, socially and spiritually. You must find a strong support system while you can, because things are falling apart fast. Be smart. Let us come together to survive the perilous days ahead. This is not about who you are or what you have. When the day is over, you will be left to face the harsh reality alone. The days of segregation are over. Don't wait until trouble set in and you find yourself up against the wall. Get registered with Lifeline today to secure support before you need it. Lifeline is not only the support giant of the BVI. Lifeline is the family you need to help you through the difficult days ahead. Don't be foolish. Nothing will get better. Save yourself now before things turn for the worst. Become a registered member of the Lifeline family now and we will help you through the challenging days ahead. You can depend on us. Find us at 4 Mill Mall or call us at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.